Hi everyone, it's Margaret. I'm back again with another of our Pansy Patch bundle cards. These are from the June card class, and if you ordered a kit from me, you received the materials pre-cut so that you could follow along with me and assemble these cards and use your stamps to stamp the items. The first card that we did was the Little Things You Do card, which we've done a video for, and this Happy Birthday card. So for this card, we're doing a thank you. There again, we're using the Pansy Patch bundle. Boy, that's a mouthful at times. So let's get started. And I'll just add this note again that the dimensions for the materials used will be added in the comments of this description on the YouTube video. So you can see those there or visit my blog. Later this week, I'll be posting some of these cards. So let's get started. For this card, this thank you card, our base is a piece of basic white thick cardstock. This is 5.5 by 8.5, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. So we'll fold that, and that will create our card base. And I have taken a piece, and I used a piece of 4.5 by 5.5. I wanted to make sure that I was able to get a good cut of this Pansy Patch, Pansy Petals, designer series paper. All of these items are part of the bundle or the suite, the Pansy Patch suite that's in the annual catalog on page 28 and 29. So you will see all of those items in the annual catalog there. So we'll go ahead and add this to the front of our card. In your kit, you also have a piece of the vellum that has been cut to fit inside of this, and I'll add those dimensions onto the description so you'll know what size to cut those. To cut that vellum, the vellum cardstock. So, and I have found that this stamping seal, when you use it on the vellum, it's unlike some of the other adhesives. You really do not see it. It seems to blend in a lot better than some of the other adhesives with vellum where it shows through. And of course, you only just need little pieces. Vellum is so light, and then of course, the pansy will hold it down. So this is cut to fit perfectly inside of the scalloped edge of the designer series paper. I just thought that softened it up because it's a pretty busy paper. So if we wanted to showcase this layered die-cut pansy. Then if you ordered the kit, you also have received the 2 ovals using the double oval punch on basic white, and we're going to stamp our sentiment. We'll use the thank you from the Pansy Patch stamp set, and I'm using Gorgeous Grape. Oops, that stuck to my finger. Set that aside and let me close this ink pad, or you know what happens, the fingers go into it, and using a white cardstock, it's sure to transfer. So for this, I'm just using a little of the adhesive and applying it flat onto that scalloped back. So we'll set those pieces aside. Now to assemble, we're going to start the assembly of the pansy. And one thing I did on this sample, and you may be able to see it in the camera, I took and I sponged a little bit of the fresh freesia just on these outer edges. I've decided for this card that I'm showing, that we're making, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep it all white and just focus on the cardstock that's been cut. But if you want to add that to your petals, do that prior to assembling the pieces that I'm going to do now. So for each pansy, you will have one, sort of looks like a butterfly. You'll have one large piece that's cut, and then you'll also have another piece that's open cut. So you have the basic white, and then we have this backing with fresh freesia. You have two petals that are the same, along with two of the edges of the fresh freesia that have been cut. You have 3 leaves that have been cut, and I believe this was the soft sea foam color. And then we also have the, what is this, new green? I'm still trying to get all of these, the soft succulent overlays for each of the leaves. I have already assembled the large leaf for this demo, but you'll need to assemble the one in your kit. And then, of course, we have the center for the pansy, as well as you have a gilded gem to add in the middle. And I found the best adhesive to use for this is the multi-purpose liquid adhesive. Remember, when you're using this, a little goes a long way. You could also use the fine tip glue. I just find that dries so much faster. And I need a little bit more time personally to work with this. So that's why I prefer to use the Tombow. So we'll just overlay those. They line up perfectly. And I'll show you a little tip on assembling the petals for the flower. Instead of adding the adhesive to the smaller piece, I found on this, and I could have done it with the leaves, but there was enough green there that I could grab it a little bit better. But I find by just taking and going right along the edge of the petal and adding a tiny bit along the edge, that it's a little bit easier to add that overlay. And we'll move that down so that it lines up. So there's one. Now to do the other. Now for the large one. And the same thing, I'm just adding a little dabs of the adhesive right along that edge where the fresh freesia cardstock will lay. And then same thing, we just pop that on there and then play with it a little just to get it all in place. That's what's great about this liquid adhesive. It does stay wet a little bit longer than the fine tip glue, so you have a little bit more time to play with moving that and getting that adjusted as you would like. So now that we have these 3 pieces with the colored edge on them, we're going to assemble them. And what I have done is I just took and added some glue dots along one side, and I just laid that over. And then using the ends where the petal starts to go in and where the cardstock, the fresh freesia cardstock ends, I find that this slides in there just perfectly to fit. So there again, I'm using a few glue dots on the upper edges, what I would call the wings of a butterfly. So we'll call them the petals of the upper petals of our pansy. Then to complete this, we're going to add, using the Gorgeous Grape center, we'll add that to the larger petals. Those just line up in there. And then we will use one of the large gilded gems as our center. Now that we have all of the pieces assembled, we can start placing these on the front of our card. So in the lower right hand corner of the card is where I'm placing the thank you. And since I'm using dimensionals on the flower, I decided to keep the sentiment flat. You could add dimensionals if you wish, but I just thought that we had enough dimension using with the flowers. So now we'll add our stamping dimensionals to the back of our pansy. And I find by placing this, when I'm using dimensionals, if I place it, there's enough space to slide other pieces underneath, whether it's leaves or other decor. So that's why I'm going to add this first. So then we'll just place our pansy there. Let me just remove some of this excess glue that got off using a gum eraser. You can get a gum eraser at an office supply store. It works great for removing adhesive, although I have even seen them in the local Dollar Tree store occasionally. So for placement of the leaves, I'm putting a large and a small on the right side, and then on the lower left, I'm adding the other small flower. So you can play with those and just tuck them in wherever you would like, but it gives it good balance. And there again, glue dots work great for attaching these. Just pop a couple, one at the tip and one at the top, and it will hold them in. Overlap those a little. So there, we have our Pansy Petal thank you card. Have that completed. So I hope you enjoyed putting this card together, and there'll be one more card that I'll be posting a video of. So be on the lookout for that. Thank you.